Well, Jake, it's fucking awesome to have you back on. I appreciate it, dude. It's uh
Oh,
it's even cooler to flip the television. I know you're not down for continuing to watch it and whatnot, and I'm sure it's been like a long process, but you've been back now for you said 6 weeks, 7 weeks?
maybe like I can't remember. It's been something like that. Yeah,
You're
something like that.
you're performing again? Things opened up down there in Texas for you to play?
Texas is wide open, man. So I mean, I'm pretty much back to normal. I got events going on. I'm playing my normal routine. You know, I, I don't want to say that it's not COVID-19 is not really affecting me, at least in my profession anymore, like it was a year ago.
Yeah, no shit, dude. This is the second time you've been on here. We were just saying it's like almost a year ago, like 11 months ago. It was right when this whole thing happened. Remember? 2 weeks to flatten the curve. You bailed from Texas and went up to Bradford for a couple of weeks to try to wait it out. And a
Yeah, I was
year
like, oh, I
later,
might come back. Yeah, and be playing again. Yeah, that didn't. Well, that Texas is weird, man, because we opened up in June, and it was full on, no masks or nothing required, no social distancing. It was packed at these bars, and then there was an outbreak again. Well, not an outbreak, but obviously cases went up, and then they clamped back down really tight for July and August, and then in September we slowly opened up, and then they had this restaurant thing where if you serve food you can open. So then all these bars are getting around it by serving tater tots or whatever they were serving. And it was kind of laughable what was going on for a while, but yeah, I'm just really glad that life is getting back to normal, dude, because I need to be I for what I do, I need to be out there, and we need to be working. If I want to make a living, you know, I need to be out there.
how many of the places that you played are still open? Is there a big impact to a lot of the venues that you were performing at, or
Well, yeah, I would say so. Some places have closed, some bars have closed, some venues have closed, but some are open. Like a lot of them have survived, and Austin's been good about like they had like grants and stuff like that. Like they were funding a lot of this operation. Like you could apply for grants, and there's obviously the PPP loan. I mean, um, a, a lot of it survived, but there are a lot of small businesses did close for sure, man. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it was just like anywhere else in the country.
I was in Austin in August, end of August. And it was, I mean, it was pretty, I mean, it was, I wouldn't say completely locked down, but it was pretty strict at the time.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's well, dude, I remember when you were here. I was hoping to run it. Would we ever meet up when you were here? I can't
No,
remember.
not the last time. I was so busy. I was down there with Rumble Johnson and doing some things with Action.
Hmm. That's a pretty cool brand, man.
Yeah, no, it's been a blast. It's going to be an exciting few months at Action. We kind of like weathered the storm last year. I
Mm-hmm.
got involved right before the pandemic hit, and our whole plan of how we were going to launch the business kind of went out the window. And so we had made investments into product, and we were kind of down a road, and had to figure out how to sustain it. And so I think we did a pretty good job of that. But yeah, dude, it's a brand that I think the quality of the coffee is underrated. I don't know if you drink coffee, but if you do, I'll send you some.
Love coffee.
I'll get you
Yeah.
some coffee and try it out. It's fantastic. It's single farm sourced from the highlands of Guatemala. So it's a family that's had a farm for over 100 years. My partner Joe, went down there, sourced the beans, and then he imports them from Guatemala into Austin, and then he handcraft roasts them right there on order. So usually, every couple days he's roasting like another 20 to 50, 60 pounds, and we just keep it cranking fresh. And so, it's it's all clean, it's all natural, it's really good. Can't beat it.
Yeah, dude. Well, I don't have you been watching the tournament at all? March Madness?
Um, a little bit, a little bit.
Well, did you see that last game where that dude hit the buzzer beater?
I did. Yeah.
It's on right now. It's not on in the background over there.
Mm-mm.
No distractions, right?
Never any.
Well, dude, I've been watching because I don't know what it is with this network down here, but cable network, I mean. But I've been getting St. Bonaventure basketball games, which I know their season's over. I'm getting St. Bonaventure basketball games down here in Austin, Texas. And I'm like, every time I find it, I got to sit there and watch it because I'm like, how in the hell is St. Bonaventure getting aired down here?
And it's like current season?
Yeah. Of course, it's live basketball. Isn't that crazy?
It's really cool.
I guess it's not that crazy. I mean, they're Division I, right?
Yeah. Now they're Atlantic 10, D1.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not too crazy. It just hits home for me. Like I walk into it's happened to me numerous times where I'll walk into a bar. Or I think the most recent time I went to this arcade with my kids and my girl, and I go to order food at the bar, and it's like an arcade and they have a bar, like draft beers and food and stuff. So I go there to order food, and above is a TV, and St. Bonaventure is on the TV. And I look over at my girl, I'm like, that's St. Bonaventure on the fucking TV right there. And she's like, what's that mean? Like, what? I'm like, dude, St. Bonaventure's in Olean, like Allegheny, like that's basically Bradford. That's on TV right now.
Made you feel like you were sitting at Angie's having a slice.
Or Manja's, or dude, I used to drive up to Manja's to get the $4 special, man. You get 2 gigantic slices of pizza and a Coke for $4.
Manja's is hell of a pizza spot.
I would go all the way up there for the $4 special, bro.
Those slices, those slices were humongous. They were huge.
They were the size, like hanging your face, dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man, you've got me now thinking about pizza. Very good.
Well, I'm actually I have something on eBay that I'm trying to sell, and I'm just trying to see if it sells, which is my Team Kelly jacket that I acquired while I was on the show. I have it on eBay, which apparently I guess no one's selling them. I don't know. There's probably not a lot in existence. I put on this rare. If I sell it though, the first thing I'm doing is buying a pizza oven to keep in the house. I'm trying to perfect a good pizza recipe, man. Like a legitimate New York style Manjas / Rena's. I know it's not going to be as good as Rena's or even Manjas, but I'm just trying to have like a really good pizza that I want to do myself. Like make the dough, keep the dough in the freezer,
That'd be fun. We found 2 really good pizza places here near us that it's kind of a toss up between my wife and I. Like when it's pizza time, it's kind of an argument as to which one we go to, but I don't handle bad pizza anymore. There's too many good places to grab a slice to settle for shit pizza. So,
well, it's like that up there in the Northeast, man. But if you're down here, like I swear to God, man, it's so weird. It's like the pizza, like it's weird. Although there's a really good spot for, like, I like to go to this food truck that's called Via 313, and they do Detroit style pizza. So it's basically like Chicago,
Super
like
sick.
sauce on top. Yeah. But I mean, that's a specialty thing, you know?
Mhm.
So if you want like specialty style pizzas down here, then you're in a good place. But if you want like a legitimate New York thin crust, you know, you're not going to really find it, man.
What about a fat
Not down here.
Sicilian slice like from Napoli's?
Well, I would say that fat Sicilian slice, which I really enjoyed those back in the day. That's kind of equivalent to what I was describing with this Detroit style pizza.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So when you were on here the last time, it was in April. You were in Bradford. You had checked out of Texas to, like, at the time, I think we were fucking waiting for the earth to explode. But had you gone and started the process for The Voice at that point in time?
Okay,
like-
so a year ago when we talked, yes, the process was started. They had sent me an email. And actually, I think that we touched base on this when the last time we talked. So I was contacted when they were doing season 17 to audition while they were in Austin. So I got an email from their casting team. It was like, hey, you know, we found you on Instagram. We're really interested in hearing you. We're going to give you a private audition. So it wasn't like I sat in a line like you see on like American Idol or something. Like, I had an appointment. I showed up. I went into a room where they had a stage and lights and microphones, and they had 3 people, 3 producers sitting there with a camera. They were filming me, and I sang. They told me to prepare 3 songs, and, you know, I'm going to sing one of them. So start with your best song, and if they ask you to sing another one, then you're doing well, because 95% of the people that do it they say, you know, after the first song, hey, you know, I just wasn't really there today, have a good day. So I went in there and I sang my first song, and the guy was like, hey, that was good, let's hear your next one. And I was like, okay. So I sang my next song, and he's like, okay, let's hear your third song. I'm like, okay. Sang the third song, and I'm like, okay, well, congratulations, we're going to take you in this back room and we're going to do an interview with you. So then I went in this back room and I did an interview, and they asked me about my life. And, you know, I told them my story, you know, military, all that stuff, full-time musician, family man, all that. And they're like, okay, well, this is great stuff. We're putting this video together. We're going to showcase this to all 20 of the producers. And this is basically like a package video. And there's going to be you know, other videos too. And they're going to pick who they're going to fly out to LA for the blind auditions. And like, we'll contact you. It's looking good. We'll contact you if we fly you out. And I said, okay, cool. So then a week later, I was told that the producers didn't pick me to fly me out. So like, okay, well, that was cool. Well, on to, you know, let's get back to life. And then, you know, that was season 17. So pretty much exactly a year after that, exactly a year after that, I get an email from the casting team that says, hey, you know, I know that COVID-19 has been really tough on the industry. We are still doing the show through COVID-19, and we are doing online auditions. JD, are you interested in submitting some links for our online auditions? And I was like, you know, sure, I'll give you my links. And I basically just gave him my YouTube channel and said, okay, well, here's my YouTube channel. Have a good day. And then that is where we left off for the last time we talked. So I had been in contact with them, and I sent them my links, and this was a year ago. And I was waiting to hear back. So then when I got back to Texas, I had an interview, a Zoom interview scheduled with one of the casting directors. And basically the same thing happened, where I happened in that back room, and we had a long interview. And she's like, okay, this is great. Like, I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to be a good thing. So, okay, cool. So then like 4 months go by and I don't really hear much of anything. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if this is happening or what. And then I get a phone call and it's like, hey, JD, it's, so-and-so with The Voice. And I'm just here to congratulate you. It was like a random number, like Indiana or something. Like, oh, well, I guess I'll answer this. Hello? Hey, JD, is that what did people call you that? Is that what you go by, JD? I'm like, yeah, how are you? And they're like, this is the so-and-so with The Voice. We're going to fly you out. Congratulations. You're going to come to LA for the blind auditions. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I was like, when do I fly out? They're like, yeah, we're going to fly you out in like 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can probably make that work. And yeah, so then I went out there. So then I get out to LA and they fly 100 artists out there for the blind auditions for 40 spots. So there's 100 people fighting for the 40 spots. And there's 6 weeks of preparations before the auditions happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So is there anybody there who wasn't recruited through the same type of process you were with the producers and kind of like regionally? Everybody's
Nah.
cast. Everybody's cast.
Well, there's some of them that are like left over from the season before,
But it's
that like
not like
didn't get
somebody
the
shows up with their guitar and plays for Blake and he's like, hey, why don't you fucking come be on the
yeah.
show?
Dude, it's not like, no, dude. Let me ask this. Do you believe in Santa Claus? Do you believe in Santa Claus? Is the Easter Bunny real? Come on, man.
Unfortunately not.
No. I hate to be that guy, but like, come on, man. Like, this is the way it is. But so I get out there and there's 100 artists for 40 slots. There's 6 weeks of preparations. You have, rehearsals, and then you got voice lessons with a vocal professional, and you're doing wardrobe stuff because everything it's like a huge thing. So there's once auditions roll around and they have pretty much picked out like who's gonna they've eyed out, like they know what they're working with, what I'm
So
saying?
it's up to, so in an essence, it's kind of like they've kind of probably 80% figured out who's moving on, who's going to be a part of the show, and it's really up to you to not fuck that up. Like, don't go up there and
Well,
just like stumble all over this and not give them a reason to fucking turn their chair. Like, start playing the music when we cue you, please. Don't stand there.
well, I don't know, man. Like, I'm sure there's been these guys, they have their system down, you know what I mean? Like, they know what they're doing and when they're doing it. But like, I gotta say, like, I feel like they know what they have and they know what they're working with and they know what they're gonna do with who they're gonna do it with. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. What kind of vetting process do they make you go through in order to validate stories? And I bring this up only, and I think we may have talked about this on the first podcast that we did together, but it was American Idol, I believe, back in the day, like when that show was really popular. At least maybe it was in my household.
It wasn't mine too. My mom loved it. Now my mom loves The Voice. I've been hearing for years, you gotta be on The Voice, you gotta be on The Voice. Now I'm finally on The Voice. My mom's like, oh my God, he's on The Voice. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, my mom's loved these singing shows forever, man.
That's awesome.
It's funny. I was watching American Idol when I was in like first or second grade. I was watching American Idol when Kelly Clarkson won.
Yeah. And yeah. Kelly Clarkson, Ruben Studdard. There was Clay. What was that guy's name? Clay
Aiken.
Clay Aiken. Yeah. But I remember there was a guy.
Chris Daughtry.
Daughtry was, yeah, he was there.
Bo Bice.
I probably am wrong. It probably wasn't even American Idol, but there was a guy who his story was that he was like a wounded veteran.
Oh no.
And his like he could sing. The guy could sing. He had a set of lungs on him, and
That's not a good look right there.
yeah, it didn't end well. You know, he wasn't actually over in Afghanistan. He wasn't doing the things that he said he was doing. It was like a full blown stolen valor, like on full display on primetime network television. And I remember like the backlash of all of that. So
I'm not familiar with that story, but that is not a good situation to be in. For me, they did their research, man. There was they have all the resources to validate what you're telling them. They wanted my DD-214 from my military background, and they wanted Princess Cruises. They wanted proof that I really was on a cruise ship. They wanted they wanted all sorts of things to prove my story. They wanted to make sure that I wasn't bullshitting them for good reason too. I mean, you watch these shows and you're like, oh, well, I guess if I can just come up with some kind of good story, then I'm going to be golden. And
that's what this guy
they
did.
do want that, but it better be true, or at least, remote, like it better be like legitimately what you're saying is the real deal.
Dude, people want
Because
that.
you got kids up there that's like, there's one kid on there today on there this season that's talking about like how he was a foster kid and like, like if it taught like all like a traumatic upbringing. It's like you can't fake that story. Like you got to really live that in order to go on TV and tell the country about this. You know what I mean?
Takes balls.
It does take balls, man. I mean, even for me, just to go up there and tell my story the way that it was told, like I feel good about the way my story was portrayed on TV. But yeah, I mean, it's like, man, like I'm telling my story to, I guess 7.5 million strangers.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about it that way, but it's truly the case. So I would have to. I mean, you mentioned you got 100 people there fighting for 40 spots. It's like miscongeniality. So, are you interacting with these other contestants? Like, are you guys all holed up in the same hotel? How is that dynamic? Because that sounds like it could be a reality show in itself.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could. I mean, just walking out of my hotel room, and I mean, you've been to one of my shows. You know what I do. You've seen what I do, and um, walking out of my room and hearing someone that sounds like Aretha Franklin singing next door to me, and I'm like, whoa, dude, like, what am I doing here? You get a little bit of like imposter syndrome. You're like, whoa, man, whoa. But again, it's a different lane. She's in a different lane than me, but it's like, whoa, that's nuts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're talking about someone that's just like, holy man, that's nuts.
Talent on a different level.
I mean, she just got pipes. You know what I mean? She's got pipes. But it's weird because it's like, for me, it's like, how can you compare? Because art can be appreciated in so many different forms of art. Like, yeah, people love R&B music. People love gospel. People love over singing. For me, I'm not a huge fan of songs that I'm a songwriter, dude. I write songs that are meaningful to me. I don't write difficult songs and I don't sing difficult songs. That's not what I do. I don't do these crazy runs that you see on this show. Like for me to even be on this show is just kind of insane because that's not me. Like I'm not a guy that's gonna go out there and do these ridiculous vocal runs that everyone else is doing. Is like, that's just not in my wheelhouse. And it's just hard to it's hard to compare different flavors when they're not close. It's like saying, do I like chocolate or vanilla? Because sometimes I like chocolate and sometimes I like vanilla. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I like strawberry, sometimes I like mint chocolate chip. What are you in the mood for, buddy?
That's a really good analogy. So so we won't give any spoilers, and I know, like, as we sit here right now, you're gonna be, I don't, are we allowed to say you're gonna be like in the next week, right, popping up again during the battle rounds? So
I believe so. I mean, I don't really know exactly what the situation is, but something like that.
so how have things changed for you, both personally and even just, we talked a little bit about perception and maybe even stigma, but like, has going on there and being around people like that, to your point, right? Like, you walk down the hall, there's some chick in the room next to you who's got a set of lungs on her that very well could be the next, Aretha Franklin, and urethra. I almost called her Urethra Franklin. Oh Christ. But does that give you like validation? Because you, at some point, like, you're out performing every day, you make a living with it, so there's a level of comfort that you have to have just to be able to do that professionally. So is there a level up in your head where it's just like, hey, okay, like, I belong here? Or is that something that you already had anyways and it wasn't necessary?
Well, for me, what's changed for me? Um, Nothing crazy has really changed. I mean, I would say I was a little, do I have confidence for sure. I'm confident in what I have confidence in what I do because I do it day in and day out, and I know that when I'm out playing live and I'm playing my show, anybody that like, I would say 90% of people that see me, like, they're seeing me and they're like, oh wow, like, this is good. Like, you know, if I'm at a bar or a venue and I'm hearing live music and it's good live music and I appreciate that, and I'm going to tip this guy and I'm going to request a song and I'm going to support this guy, I'm going to buy some of his merch or whatever. Like, I have been doing this for years, going on 8 years at this point, and I know that the overwhelming majority of people appreciate what I do. So me going on a TV show and them showing a 90-second clip of what I do when I do it every night in front of people for 3 hours, that's not really a fair representation. And sure, if I get a little bit of hate, like, yeah, I mean, my life hasn't changed. I've gotten a little more followers. I've gotten some followers. Nothing's really changed for me though. No, I wouldn't, like, I'm still going out and I'm playing the song. I'm playing songs and I'm playing the same places that I've always played. And I just have something else on my resume, and maybe a little bit of just something on a resume, and maybe a little bit of attention. That's really all it is. And attention for this business, that's all you really are trying to get, is just get some more eyes on what you're doing. Like, the whole purpose of me going on the show, like, there wouldn't have been a reason for me to go on the show if I didn't have original music that I've been working on for years that I'm about to release. It's like, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been like, okay, I need to go on TV. It's like, no, I'm going to wait to release this music because I'm going to go on TV. And then who knows, maybe I'm going to get, 10,000 more, followers, or
And one of
even
them,
just since I've went on there, my Spotify is getting a lot more listens and, a lot more streams. So, I mean, it's I would say for this and for anything that you do in life, you just got to do things with intention. You got to work with intention. It's like, why am I doing this? What am I going to get out of it? Do I even know what I'm going to get out of it? No, I don't know what I'm going to get out of it, but I'm going to take the leap into the darkness and hope for the best.
So I like attention, I totally get, right? Like, and it's super smart to be strategic in that and to plot your moves in a way that's going to maximize the amount of people that are paying attention to you and what you're doing right when you're going to put out everything you've worked really hard and that's important for you. Especially after going through this experience and kind of getting a firsthand glimpse that like this industry, quote unquote industry, right? How much of that is even necessary in today's world? And do you feel like it's fracturing and fragmenting like in the music business? I was just curious, you know, it's like who's even on the Billboard charts right now? And there's definitely good music there, but I went and looked at the rock Billboard charts and I'm like, I don't recognize any of these bands, and none of, I would bet 80% of them won't be here and never be back on the charts again after this quick little run. You know what I mean? And it's part of that, I guess, is kind of exciting, and it shows that I guess maybe you can be anybody and make it. But I also feel like it it ties back to how you laid out this whole recruiting process, and it makes me wonder how many of these bands, especially for radio play, it's all predetermined who's going to have the hot singles. And you know, like, is it worth trying to go down that road, or is it better to just try to build your own brand, find a loyal following, and create your own content on social media, on YouTube, and just kind of, you know, try to be prolific and create experiences?
I'm going with the latter, you know. Here's something that I can point out. And you might, just for shits and giggles, like, have you ever you've heard of Eli Young Band, right?
Yeah.
So you know the song "Even If It Breaks Your Heart"?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Keep on dreaming, even if it breaks your heart. Great song. I love that song. And I've loved that song since it came out. I heard it when I worked for the Lewis Run Borough back when you were delivering beer. You were delivering beer. I was working for Lewis Run Borough. I was sitting in the Borough truck. I would listen to country radio. I'd hear that song. This is like 2011, man. I loved that song. So now I'm down here. I met I've been working with a producer, and he turns me on to the guy that wrote that song. I'm like, wait a minute, he wrote the song. So then I'm like, wait a minute, he wrote a song. So I go to Will Hogue, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. I go to his Spotify and I listen to the original version of the song. It's the same exact song. Same exact song. But he lived it and he wrote it. He wrote it down. Like, that song is real. Like, if you go to that song and you listen to it, you listen to that first verse where he's talking about, you know, when he was a kid, he'd sit outside the bar when he couldn't even get in just to hear the music. You know what I mean? Like, he's talking about, like, that came from a very real place inside of him. You know what I mean? Like, that song, that he lived that song. And then, you know, he releases it, and it's a great song. It sounds very professional. The recording's great. And then someone decided that his version wasn't good enough, and they take the same song and they record it, and it gets released. And nothing against Eli Young Band, because I love them too. I think they're excellent. If they're local, I love Eli Young Band. I'm not dissing Eli Young Band at all. Their version of the song is excellent. my thing is that I thought that was their song. Like I thought that was their, like I thought that they lived that song, because that's a very personalized song. So when I find out, and I've been doing a deep dive on Will, the songwriter, because he's a real artist. You can go to Spotify and you can listen to his whole discography. Like,
What's his name?
he is excellent. Will Hoge. He's one of the best songwriters. I've just been doing a deep dive like the past 2 weeks. Like I never even heard of this dude, but he's got #1 hits. And that he just like he wrote them and he released them, and then they just got re-released, repackaged. It's like, honestly, when you think about it, isn't it kind of sad?
Is he compensated for that? Like, because
I'm sure he's
got to get like some sort of
famously.
like writing credits or something, right? Like a publishing
I'm
fee.
sure that he gets paid famously for that. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the money though. Like, sure, it's always about the money. Like, is it though? Like, he lived that song, bro. You know what I mean? Like, he's really good at writing songs. So yeah, like he makes a career writing songs. That's really, I guess for me, like that might be my best case scenario, is that I write a really good song one day that someone else releases. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or you write a really good song that you release. I
Well,
think,
no, it's the same thing. He
yeah,
released it. He released it to a much smaller audience. You know what I'm saying?
sure. No, I get it, right? And it could be a scenario where you release a song and somebody hears it and decides to put their spin on it, which is kind of cool in and of itself, because like it's art creating art, right? In a way. But it could be that, right? You write some dope song, somebody hears it, they put their variation on it, it becomes a huge hit. You lived it, they didn't. You get
Bro,
compensated, however, but you could
can,
also
can
write that song and it could make its way out there, and you could be the person that performs it every single night.
yeah, for sure. That could be the opposite. That could definitely happen for sure. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know how it all works, and I don't know what it's like to be the band that gets pitched this great song. You know what I mean? Like, how do they decide who releases what, or do they, is they even a thing? I don't know how it works. Like, how does this guy write a song, release it to his audience, and then it gets taken and then someone else releases it?
I always struggle with it because I feel like, and a lot of times, you can tell when somebody doesn't write a song and they're just performing something that was written for them. And I think it takes a really, really special performer to be able to deliver a performance on something that they didn't write in a way,
Yeah,
especially if the song is like really deep. And I think of Turn the Page and Metallica. And
yeah.
I I love that version of Turn the Page, and it's such an iconic song, but they didn't write that song.
Well, the
But
difference is though
it
is that
is
no one thought that Metallica wrote Turn the Page. Turn the Page was a hit,
right,
bro.
right. But
It's a cover.
they didn't write it. But here's what I'm getting at is I buy it even though they didn't write it, because they still lived it even though they didn't live that story. That song is Metallica as much as it is about a truck driver out on the road. It's, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
that's them. And so for me it's like the perfect song that they didn't write.
Well, what I used this song as an example because I always thought that that was like their song. You know what I mean? Like, it's with Turn the Page. That's about, like, Bob Seger wrote that song.
Right.
You know, so no one like like there, when you heard Metallica cover the song, you're like, oh wow, that's a really cool cover. I love how different it is from the original. Like, there's a whole different meaning to that type of thing. But for that, it's the same exact thing. Like there's nothing really different about what the difference is, aside from the fact that there's another guy singing it, but he's singing it in the same way. It's just his voice is a little bit different than the original songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
So and then for some reason, like, my brother just sent me this article that was about like songwriters kind of demanding that pop stars stop taking credit for the songs that they didn't write. And it's true. I don't feel like the songwriters are being represented properly in the public eye. Like, if you love a song and it's streamed 1 billion times, why shouldn't the songwriter get publicity out of that?
Well, even further, and I know again, it's not just about money, but it always comes down to money. Why aren't they compensated differently through Spotify and other streaming services? I heard a story recently about, and it makes perfect sense. Sony Music was paying TikTok influencers to make TikTok dances to songs that were about ready to be released, so that the songs would trend on TikTok and get a whole bunch of plays on Spotify. And so, like, they just have shifted what they're investing in, because it was just a different thing that they would spend their money on to promote a CD or something in the 90s or in the 2000s, right? It's just, it progresses along. And now TikTok is this platform where music is tied to it, but they'll go find the girl that's got 5 million followers and be like, here's 5 songs that we want you to make dances to, and then release them.
And
Because
here's $100,000 to fucking do it.
exactly.
Oh my gosh, man. Dude, I'm telling you, man, I swear to God, I'm living in the wrong decade. Like, this is just insanity, bro.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you. Do you think we'll ever get back to a place in time where music is what it was? Or do you think it's long gone? Like the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s? I even think when I was a child, and I don't know if you ever got, you're a music person, so you would have, if you had the opportunity, you would have done it. But I remember going to concerts, and it's just, music is different now. Everything is different. And I think it really truly is streaming and just the instant access to music, which is a good thing, but it changed how I saw it. And we may be that last generation who had an opportunity to remember what the old style of music was, or how it was distributed out to the masses.
Yeah. I mean, there's no more record sales, or, I mean, that used to be how artists made their money. That's how they got rich, was through their record sales. And pretty much now artists are only making money through playing live. Like,
And a lot of them are getting ripped too, because they're signing these 360 deals where they're given a portion of their merch, they're given a portion of their live performance. I mean, they're given a portion of absolutely everything.
Yeah, I mean, for that, I guess I'm pretty happy that I am where I am, because I'm able to make a good living without having anyone else's hand in the jar. It's literally just me. Like, I handle all the business, I do all the emails. Like, when you reach out to me, you're reaching out to me, and you're going to get a response from me. You're not going to get a response from someone else that is going to talk to 3 other people before it gets down to me. Like, you're reaching out to me directly. But yeah, I mean, do I think it'll ever get back to that? I don't know. I really don't, because it's really odd. I think that there would have to. I love Joe Rogan. I don't know about the Spotify deal, man, because I wish. I just think that I don't see it, bro. I just don't get how they're able to do what they do, because they're they're taking, I have to put my music on Spotify or else I'm missing out on a whole market. Instead of us, and I am a member of Spotify. I take advantage of other artists to listen to Spotify because everyone, like, that's just the world we live in. So I pay my $7, my $10 a month or whatever it is, so I can have access to all this music. But do I kind of wish that I could just have, like, I miss going out and buying a CD and getting the album art and then looking through the little pamphlet and seeing the credits
Finding
for
the
every
letters. You're like, okay, N, there it is. Okay, N. And you're like flipping through to see, oh, okay, or here's all of the Guns N' Roses albums. Let me see, like, okay, they've got Appetite, they've got Spaghetti Incident, they've got Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. Okay, like, it was an experience in and of itself to go to Poppy's and go look at the CDs, or to go even over to FYE.
Poppies, dude. You said Poppies.
Do you remember Poppy's? Dude, I was inside.
My brother just dropped Poppies to me. I was like, where the fuck was Poppies where CVS is now? Was that Poppies?
No, so Poppy's was on Main Street. It was on the corner across from like Oris Jewelers, and then it moved over to where Save a Lot is.
I thought that was Movie World.
It was, but then I feel like Poppy's. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It moved somewhere. I thought it moved over there, but I was inside of Poppy's when news broke that Left Eye Lopez died. I remember like breaking news on the stereo because they play music in there, and I was like crushed.
Carson Daly broke the news.
Yeah, right. Now it's times have changed, man.
Wait, what was that show that he did, dude? Carson Daly?
TRL.
It's a weird thing, man.
Total Request Live, and then he had his own show that was on at like midnight. Last Call with Carson Daly. Do you know I saw before we hopped on here, today is the anniversary of Kurt Cobain and Lane Staley's death. April 5th.
I love Kurt Cobain. I love Nirvana, man. I had a poster of Kurt Cobain in my room from the time I was about 11 until I was, graduate high school.
Well, this is even crazier. So it's been 27 years since he died, and he died when he was 27. So like, think about that. He's been gone just as long as he was here.
I'm 28. Dude, he left his mark, though. I mean, dude, I close all of my shows with All Apologies by Nirvana. And I have for years. It slaps. I did like a bluegrass version. It's pretty cool.
I think I've heard you play that before.
It's my closer, dude. It's my closer.
Hell of a song.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with Dave Grohl. It may have been a Howard Stern interview. And it was interesting because he was asking, and his name escapes me. There's like another guy. He's like the other guitarist in Foo Fighters. He was the other guitarist in
his name is
Nirvana.
Pat Smear.
Okay, dark hair guy, dark complexion.
Pat Smear.
Okay, yeah. So Howard was asking him, do you guys ever get together and play as your Nirvana? Or do you wonder what it would be like to get together and play as if you're Nirvana? And he was like, I don't have to wonder because we get together and play as if we're Nirvana. So like, kind of like drop that him, Kurt, or not Kurt,
Pat Smear, and then fucking what's the guy's?
I'm trying to think of the bass player's name.
He's got a weird name. It's like some kind of Eastern European. It's long. The last name's very long.
Yeah,
can't remember what it is.
And Dave Grohl, but they said it's difficult to do that though. that it's really hard for them to get together and play those songs and hear them, because it takes them back to a time that was so happy yet so sad. And it really humanized it for me for a minute, because I think about Nirvana the same way you probably do, right? Like I remember cranking their music in my room. It was like just it was just this thing. It was bigger than life, this music. They lived it. They were just normal people. They're humans. They were born. They were babies at one point in time. And their lives took them in this direction where they all met and they created this amazing shit. And now they're left with a
Some,
legacy there too, you know? It's like,
oh, well, it's weird too. Like I've always been a huge Foo Fighters fan, so I obviously love Dave Grohl, and I always really enjoyed the documentary that Foo Fighters did called Back and Forth, which I guess was the title of the album they were promoting when they made the documentary. But there was a portion of the documentary spent where Dave talked about like the hate that he initially received when Foo Fighters began. And, you know, there was a lot of people that were like pissed off, saying like, oh, he's just taking Nirvana and now he's the front man. So he's just like stealing Kurt Cobain's legacy. And it's like, which, I mean, I mean, the Foo Fighters got some songs, dude. Like some of those songs slap. I love the Foo Fighters. Love the Foo Fighters.
or another one. Yeah. That's a band that I've never seen live that, man, if I could see, they're up there, you know,
Yeah.
I would, and there's no comparison. I want to see the Stones so bad. Like that to me would be that's a bucket list item for me. You know, it was before that, it was seeing Guns N' Roses. Just from when I grew up, my musical influences, GNR was just, it was everything to me as a kid. And I've always vibed on on their stuff. And so being able to see them, even kind of somewhat of a shell of what was the original lineup, was really cool. The Stones, man, that would be awesome. Foo Fighters, it would be up there for sure. Tool, I'd love to see Tool.
I mean, all of those Seattle bands too. I mean, I guess Live is a Seattle band, aren't they?
I don't know. I think
I can't.
Pennsylvania.
They're from Pennsylvania,
I think so. Bethlehem.
and they came to Allegheny and started shitting on our town.
Flash forward, I went to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, 2004. It was the Rolling Rock Town Fair. And Velvet Revolver was the headliner.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Stained, Disturbed, there's a bunch of fucking bands, man. But Finch, and only reason I know Finch played was because Finch was performing, and it was a really interesting stage setup. So they had a circular stage with a wall. And so you've probably seen this before, but while the one band was performing, they were setting up for the other band. And as soon as that first band was done, within like 5 minutes, they circled that stage and the new equipment was there and they were ready to go. And so Finch is about ready to perform and the stage is starting to turn. And you see the singer like distracted as the stage is turning towards the crowd. And he's talking to somebody on the side of the stage. And so then the band starts kind of like getting their shit going, like people start cheering, and you see he starts to like talk to the crowd. He's like, "What's up, everybody?" And then he like turns back around and he's pointing at talking to somebody, and I realize it's David Draymond from Disturbed. And so you see like a group of people from the side of the stage start to come out, and then all of a sudden it just shit hit the fan, dude. And it turned into an all-out brawl. Draymond fucking spears the singer of Finch, slams him onto the stage.
What the hell?
The bass player from Finch took a swing with his guitar at a couple of members of Disturbed, and I mean, it got bad. Like punches were thrown, and they separate it. Finch starts to play again, and then they get booed off stage. So they leave. Disturbed comes on like 5 bands later, and Seven Dust performed. I mean, dude, it was like the last tail of this fucking show was super heavy, and Disturbed comes out and is like, they give some speech about like not letting anybody talk shit about you, and come to find out, the singer from Finch gave an interview in Revolver magazine and said that Disturbed, their music was poison, and that the world would be better off if they were dead or something like that. So they took offense to it and like fucking didn't play around and literally got into a fucking fight on stage. So that's 2 different times that I've seen a band get ushered off because the singer got cracked in the face. Once by a boot, the next by Dave Draymond. But
that's pretty dope, dude. That's cool.
Yeah.
I gotta look into that story. Dude, the boot story though, like something similar happened to me. I went to see Silverstein in Bayside, and the singer for Silverstein, they came out and played like 1 or 2 songs, and then somebody threw a fucking shoe up there and hit the singer in the face. It's the same story, dude. It's so weird. Hit the singer in the face, and they just said, "We're done," and they just literally walked off, and they didn't come back out. And everybody was so pissed because they're like, "We just like what?" Like,
in a way, it's so rock and roll, right? It's like you'd hate to be there, but there's the famous incident where Guns N' Roses, it was actually when Metallica and GNR went out on tour, and James Hetfield got lit on fire by the pyrotechnics, and they're in Montreal. So they're playing Fade to Black, and he wanders over top of a flame, burns himself really bad. They rush him to the hospital. Guns N' Roses comes out, can save the day. Axl bitches about the audio and storms off stage, and they don't finish the show. A riot ensues, and like people die. There's riots. They're fucking lighting the whole stadium on fire. I mean,
what?
Look into that, dude. Yeah, it was like in 92, maybe 91. Horrible.
So Metallica had to end early, and then Guns N' Roses said, "We're done. We're not playing."
Yeah, there was a problem with Axl's microphone, and so he got pissed off and he threw it down and left stage. And they're like, "Okay, well, that's everything." And people went fucking nuts.
Dude, humans, man, it's so fucking weird, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just rock and roll at its finest. And it, not that that's a good thing. Like, God, it would be crazy, but there was
it highlights the worst, man. Not rock and roll, but like, it's like I think I was watching a podcast with the singer from or the rapper from Cypress Hill, where he was talking about
Dog.
Yeah, he was talking about Woodstock in 1999, where it was literally like the end of, it was like Armageddon out there, just like, and like it was insane. Like, you're in this festival in the middle of nowhere. I guess that's why they don't do Woodstock anymore. But they're in the middle of nowhere, and then like it just becomes like a Armageddon type of situation.
Yeah, it was bad. I remember that would have been 99.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like 12 years old. It was all over the news. There was like 30 different rape charges because people were crowd surfing and people would try to like grab girls, and that was an ugly scenario. It was one of the largest crowds though. I don't know where I heard it, but it was, I think, a Rogan podcast where somebody, it may have been Everlast, talking about it and how when he was there, he performed in front of like 500,000 people and they took him in on a helicopter because there was no getting to the state. Like they had to fucking fly you in because you couldn't get a vehicle close enough to like get to the stage and to the grounds. Now, the flip side to that is this is about the corniest shit ever. So I worked in corporate. I still do stuff, you know what I mean? Like, but I worked at IBM for a number of years and they have their big conferences out in Las Vegas. And the one year Aerosmith was headlining the concert at the convention. So it's like a 3-day thing with all kinds of speakers and you know, it's just a networking event out there. They shut down Vegas basically. And
I
then,
do those events. I know what it's like.
yeah. So they bring in at the MGM Grand, they've got Aerosmith headlining this show. So you show
and they're paying them famously for that, dude.
Oh, dude, I can only imagine. So
yeah, Aerosmith, they're charging a lot.
So picture this, right? You got no opening band. So it's just Aerosmith coming on, starting from scratch, cold. You've got a bunch of middle-aged business people from IBM. I mean, just imagine who these people are. I'm certainly the outcast of this crowd. And
trust me, I know. I will let you know how I know after this.
So everybody's got these glowing necklaces on that they give you when you walk in, and it's, you know, it's your Uncle Rob from Christmas who gets too drunk and sings karaoke. You know, it's 50,000 of these idiots. Probably not that many. I don't know how many people it holds. Probably 20,000 people, but it was packed. Aerosmith comes out, and it's just like the most vanilla, ballsless rock concert that I've ever fucking been to in my entire life. I felt like they made them turn their fucking amplifiers down. It was everything that rock and roll is not supposed to be. And it was disappointing because I'm a Joe Perry fan. I'm a big time Steven Tyler fan. I think he's a weirdo, but I love it. But it was the strangest shit ever. Ever. I mean, they were totally done up in makeup. Nobody's like hardly cheering from a dead stop, no opening band. And to your point, they probably walked away with 500,000, 750 for 2 hours of just playing their hits. Probably more. They probably made $1 million to do that show.
Guarantee it. Dude, I've done those gigs, bro. I've been hired by Dell, Mozilla, PayPal. I've done corporate events for all those guys. I opened up for a band that's really well known in Central Texas. Opened up for them at a very pristine venue here in Austin. And I had done I was like their entertainment for like their whole week. So they hired me to do like 3 or 4 nights of events for the same, like there was like their company whole thing. And they're giving them like the Austin, Texas treatment, you know what I mean? So like, we're here, hey y'all, like, and they're from fucking like Indy, like they're just here for the tech. They're eating barbecue every night, you know. So I'm doing this thing, and I have rapport with these people now because they know me, because this is their third time seeing me. So they see me open for this act that I shouldn't even be opening for, because this act is they're legitimate, you know what I mean? Like they're legit. And and they're playing their originals, and I'm out there, and there's like they have like 1,000 employees, so it's like a packed house, like it's like the whole thing, and they're cheering me on. I open for these guys, and they love it. They're cheering me on. They're going crazy for me. I walk off the stage, and then the real act comes on. The act is getting paid, $50,000 to $75,000 to be there. They come out, and everyone starts leaving. They literally played to nobody, bro. They all left and let them play, and nobody stayed. It was literally like me and Charles just sitting there watching this very notable band. Like Charles, this is like when Charles first bought a camera. He's just sitting there like taking pictures of him and shit. Like nobody's there, dude. It was ridiculous. But then when I was playing, there was seriously like 1,000, 1,500 people that were like cheering for me because I had rapport with them, because they had seen me 4 or 5 times, 3, 4 times before.
I remember being at the WMM barbecue in Philadelphia. Red Sun Rising was playing it, and McGarry hooked us up, and my wife and I were backstage, and Collective Soul was playing. And so they're just finishing, and they're singing Shine. It's their encore, and they get like 2/3 of the way through the song, and the lead singer walks back by the drum riser and slips on some water and falls right on his ass, dude, and lands kind of funny.
Collective Soul?
Yeah. He falls hard, and he gets up, and he's super pissed off because I don't know, but it seemed like he had told one of the guitar techs to wipe something off or pick something up, and it resulted in him falling. So he takes his guitar and fucking chucks it at this guy, and then goes back out, grabs a microphone, and finishes the song. And I'm like watching this unfold, all while like people are cheering, and most of everybody doesn't realize like what's going on. But from where I was standing on the side of the stage, I could see everything playing out. So they get done and they come backstage, and dude, he fucking grabs a hold of this guitar tech and starts screaming at him. I'm like, look at this guy, dude. He was fucking going berserk. And I get it. He fell hard.
Dude, I played December all the time. I covered December all the time, dude. Don't worry about.
Yeah, that was a fun show. That was 3 Doors Down, Disturbed, Shine Down. It was a good lineup.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I love the Red Sun Rising guys, man. I mean, I've went to whenever they're in Texas. I mean, I'm always with their stuff. I'm excited for this new band that they're doing, The Violent. I mean,
have you heard the new songs?
Oh yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had Pat down here. He recorded drums for the songs that I'm releasing. So he played drums on my whole record. And yeah, he stayed with me for a while. I that's where I first heard the song. He showed me the song before it was finished. But Fly. And yeah, dude, I think that the future is bright for that project, man. I think they're killing it.
They're not that there's a lack of talented musicians in music today, but I think that that's sometimes underappreciated in the music space. And they're 3 very talented musicians that have a lot of creativity and aren't afraid to test the limits and change things up. I think when you look at their whole catalog of work through Red Sun Rising and now what they're releasing with The Violent, it's evolved so much. But the one thing that I've noticed is every time I listen to any songs, whether it's from, The Other Side all the way even into, through the stuff that they did on Thread and now with The Violent, I'll listen to a song and I'll really, really like it. And then I'll listen to it again and I'll like it even more. And I'll listen to it a third time and I'll like it even more. And I find all these different new aspects of the music that I didn't notice on the first two times that I listened to it. They do a great job of layering a lot of things into the music and have a lot of nuance to it, which, I mean, I appreciate that a ton and really dig when I listen to their shit. So,
Yeah. I mean, I just think Mike has like a really great voice for like what they're doing. And I mean, that dude just has like, he's got the voice, bro. I mean, and then you just take that with just like, for me, Pat is the best drummer that I've ever worked with. So like, I know, I mean, that dude on the drums, he's fucking ridiculous.
mhm.
So you literally just have someone that's laying the foundation musically. Because I mean, for when you're tracking a record, the first thing you track is the drums. And if you have drums that are like, you know, the most important part is the drums. If the drums sound like shit, you're fucked. You're done. If you got a bad drummer in there, you're not doing nothing. You're not gonna get above ground, man.
It's like trying to stand
So
up on like a wobbly set of stilts.
yeah, no, it's not happening. You got to have like, and what's amazing is that like, I mean, we're both from Bradford, so we could talk about Dave McGarry, the drummer. I mean, it's like, dude, he was fucking killing the drums. I didn't even know he played guitar until like, it was like a while. Like he was fucking, he was, everyone's like, he's the best drummer in Bradford. Taking Bradford into account again, isn't it fucking insane though? Like Bradford, Bradford's produced some pretty good musicians.
There, I don't know, man. I'm biased. I talk some shit sometimes, so I know anybody that if you're still listening to this episode and you've ever been offended by me and anything I've said, I apologize, but Bradford's a unique place, man. It's everybody wants to say that about their hometown, but there's something strange and unique and different about where we grew up. And I'm proud in a weird kind of way that I grew up there.
Yeah, I mean, me too, for sure. I have that. I mean, it runs thick, and even more so, like taking it a step further. I'm not even from Bradford, man. I'm from Lewis Run, which is a suburb of Bradford.
Suburb.
So, and yeah, right. It's ridiculous. And you know, the pride for the other kids that I grew up with, like the other you know teenage boys that I grew up with that were also from Lewis Run. It was like a thing. They're like Lewis Run, yeah, Lewis. Like it was like these motherfuckers like loved Lewis Run.
It was like a rite
So
of passage. It was like a cool thing to be from Lewis Run.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's kind of weird now. Like as a kid, like I always kind of dreamed of like claiming, like, oh yeah, like I'm from Lewis Run. Once I finally get to like that, like, hey everybody, I'm from Lewis Run. Like, but then I finally like I regret that I couldn't give that to the people that apparently really wanted me to tell the world or tell the country that I'm from Lewis Run. So I guess I feel bad about that, but at the same time, man, I mean, we talked about this a little bit before. Like, I'm sure I was raised in Lewis Run. I mean, if you want to break it down, I was born to a military family. I was born in Maryland on a Navy base, and my dad got out of the Navy, and we moved back home to where they were from, which was Lewis Run, Pennsylvania. I was raised in Lewis Run from the time I was about 2 years old until, I was 20 years old. And, yeah, I'm from Lewis Run, and I moved out of Lewis Run. Let's just break it down. If I would have stayed in Lewis Run and never left Lewis Run, I would still be sitting there throwing garbage into a back of a garbage truck. That's the reality of the situation. I left Lewis Run. I came to Texas, and I've been able to pursue my passion, and I'm trying to move up the ladder. And what's going to get me, up the ladder is by, broadening my horizons here in Central Texas, where I've created a family, I've created connections, I've created a livelihood, like I need to continue to do this here in Central Texas and do the Texas circuit. That's just where I'm at right now. I gotta do that. You know what I mean?
Well, and I appreciate you pointing that out, because I'm sure there's people who, knowing that area, super proud that you represent not Bradford, but Lewis Run in particular, but the whole area, Bradford included, right? Like there's more people than not who appreciate that, and who probably were bummed out, but who probably understand that it's just not simple, and there's a lot to it, and it's not you. Like, I don't think everybody thought you're trying to hide from where you're from. Then you've got the other group of people, and I said this to you before, and I stand by it. They just are bummed out that they can't ride your coattails because you didn't publicly state that you're from Lewis Run, right? And that's a whole different type of person. You've got supportive people, and then you've got coattail riders. And it's sad when the coattail riders are literally mad at you for taking their ability to ride your coattails, because it's like, well, fuck, man. You didn't say you're from Lewis Run, so now I can't say that I know somebody from The Voice. It's just,
yeah. No, I don't root for you anymore.
Yeah, like I don't know. So take it with a grain of salt, but I stand by that. I see it in so many things, and it's a sad reality. And I only hope that people that feel that way wake up, because you get one shot at this thing, man. So,
I mean, I actually just put that into a song too. It's like, you get one shot, so you got to live the life that you make, and don't be afraid to live the life that you make. I mean, and I guess that's what I would say to my kids is like, you're in control of your reality. Like, if you want to change your reality, you have all the power in the world to do that. If you want to be a YouTuber, then you have the power to make that happen. It's like when me and my brother and Joey, we moved to California. And I remember talking to Joey about this, and Joey was, your brother Joey, he was well aware about what my goals were with my life and my career, about how I wanted to be a musician, and I want to write songs and play music for a living, which seemed unachievable at this point in my life. It's like, how I want to be a musician. I want music to pay the bills. How the fuck do I make that happen? How does that like what? And when I lived in Lewis Run, it's like, how do I make it happen? It's not going to happen here. I'm gonna play Jose's every night, and I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't gonna happen here, dude. So, and it's not even that it's not gonna happen there because there's not enough places to play. It's not gonna happen because if I'm working a job where I gotta work 80 hours a week to make, to get by, how am I gonna excel at what I do and my passion? How am I gonna get better?
And what happens?
So basically, what I was saying about Joey though, is like, Joey turned me on to this Arnold Schwarzenegger quote, which is, hey, don't listen to the naysayers, because that's all they are. They're naysayers. And they're going to move on from you, and they'll move on and start naysaying to somebody else. Like, and I feel like I even fell into this when I lived up there. This small town mentality of just like talking shit on people. It's like, you know, why do we do that up there? Like, why is everybody up there just want to cut people down? And when I moved into a bigger area where, you know, not everybody knows my whole life story, and you know, when I say not everybody, I mean nobody knows anything about me. I walk down the street, they don't know who I am, which, you know, sometimes people actually do know who I am now, especially downtown. But, you know, they don't know, you know, that I failed my math class in 10th grade. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know all that stuff. So no one's talking shit. But like these small towns, and specifically, you know, where we're from, I feel like there was just a lot of shit talking. And I've said it recently to someone that decided to tag me in some shit and talk shit. Said, hey man, the hate's been fueling me for years. Just keep it up, because this whole thing happened. This isn't just an overnight thing. Y'all were talking shit back in 2013, and now we're sitting here in 2021, and now you're talking shit because I'm on TV. But in 2013, you were talking shit because, you know, I was leaving Bradford to go pursue my passion.
And they're sitting in the same stool.
They're sitting in the same stools talking shit. It's hilarious. I mean, honestly, isn't it? It's fun.
Yeah. It is, man. But I'm proud of you. I've been pumped, dude. I think it's regardless of the outcome, and I'm excited to see how everything pans out, but regardless of the outcome, I'm happy for you that you're just taking one more step of fulfilling what you want to do with your life. And I hope that you've been able to pull more positive than negative, right? It's easy to like analyze it after the fact, and I think you pointed it out, even it may even been before we started recording, that overall it was such a positive experience for you. And so keep grinding, you know. And I mean, dude, it's great being able to reconnect. Every time I come down to Austin to see the progress going out, you know, I think the last time I came down, I brought Evan Luciano out. It was just like to be able to, dude, like I remember going to Austin, Texas, and you were in high school with like, because my brother was in high school. I was going to Austin for work, and I would go to those same bars because I remember you moved there, and I'm like, hey, do you ever hear of Moose Knuckles? It's like you've kind of grown into what you want to do, and now ended up at a place that I actually had some familiarity with. And so it's kind of strange for me to even go there on these trips and be like, well, now somebody who I know and am familiar with is at the places that I would go to if I come to this town. And I don't know a whole lot of places, but it's funny how the world works, you know?
It is funny, man, because I do remember when I moved here, like, go to Moose Knuckle. Well, what ended up happening is I ended up working for that whole company that owns that bar, and I was across the street every Friday and Saturday for fucking like 3 years, dude, across from Moose Knuckle. I worked at Library Bar every Friday and Saturday night. I played the gig there. And in the background, I mean, there's plenty of pictures I can show you where the sign's there and it says "Got Moose Knuckle." It's just, I mean, it's a funny bar name, but
yeah,
you know, it's funny how things work out like that, man.
It definitely is. So when should people be tuning in if they do want to catch you on The Voice?
I would say, I mean, I'd say next Monday, so the 12th. I'm assuming, I can't guarantee anything, but I'm assuming there's also a possibility that it might get montage. I might, and my performance might only be 10 seconds long. I don't know.
Sure. What do you got coming up down in Austin? Anything big? Any big plans in the works currently?
Well, I'm just finishing recording my record, and I'm planning on releasing that here in the coming weeks. And then, yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy, just recording and releasing and playing live. And I'm going to be heading up north this summer. Actually, if you got some places that I can play in Pittsburgh, I am down to play up in Pittsburgh, dude.
I can make some intros for sure.
And yeah, so that, and yeah, I mean, dude, I'm just taking the opportunities as they come, man. I mean, I'm going to be working with I'm going to be collaborating with some new people that can help me grow and develop. And yeah, I'm just taking the opportunities as they come, dude. I mean, I literally I get down on myself sometimes. I feel like I'm not doing enough, but that's also just me criticizing myself, because I am doing so much. I'm also a family man. I mean, you know what it's like. So, it's an interesting situation. Like, I gotta be honest, man. Like, I really feel like this whole thing, this whole reality, and I know that I'm changing the subject on you, but like, I feel like I'm walking proof that like manifestation is real, and like you manifest that reality, and you manifest what you want, and it becomes reality. And I don't know, I really don't know, like, it's almost like, when I used to go to Sports Cafe with you and Joey and Colin Holsworth and everybody else, that seems like a whole different lifetime ago. Like, honestly, like, when you look back at your life, doesn't that feel like a different life for you? Does it?
Most definitely. Yeah.
For me, it does. When I look back at my life, and
Seems
I'm like
3 lives ago.
I was like, what? Like, what the heck? What is going on? Like, what is this? What is this? What's going on right now, man? This is weird. So, maybe in a couple more years, I'm gonna look back at this and be like, oh man, that was weird. Yeah, I was on reality TV. What the fuck?
Wherever you end up, I'll be watching.
Hey man, I appreciate it, and I love that hoodie, dude. Go Bills.
I honestly, I threw this on because I was thinking of you. I was like, what? I had jiu-jitsu class prior to this, and I got out of the shower. I was looking for something to throw on. I'm like, you know what? I want to be comfortable. Buffalo Bills hoodie. Jake's gonna be on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta fucking wear. I gotta represent. So.
Oh yeah, dude. If I would have known, I would have worn my Flutie jersey, man. Shit. I mean, dude, the Bills
made some moves too. Emmanuel Sanders. That was an interesting move. Interesting move.
I mean, that's a big time. That's a big time move, honestly. That's gonna pay off.
Dude, their front office is legit. For all the focus that's on the field, they're gonna be good for a long time because they've got the winning recipe in the front office. I'm very happy.
So crazy too, dude. They were so shitty my whole life. They've sucked. They've sucked, dude. This is the first time. This season is the first time in my life.
Tell me though, it doesn't start and end with the quarterback. As much I'm sitting here talking about the back office, and that's a huge part of it. But it's all, think about this. Go through the quarterbacks since the Bills were good. The Bills were last good prior to this whole revitalization. It was back when Flutie was the quarterback and they lost to the Tennessee Titans on the throwback pass in the playoffs. That was like the last time the Bills were really significant. Since then, who have the quarterbacks?
They were 11-5 that year. That was 1999. Wade Phillips was the coach, and Flutie was benched that game. Flutie did not play it down.
He didn't play in that game. Who played? Rob Johnson?
He was benched for Rob Johnson because Rob Johnson, they were 11-5, and they benched the starters in week 17. Rob Johnson showed out against the Jaguars threw like 3 touchdowns. And then for the playoffs, they benched Flutie and put Rob Johnson because they thought, wow, look at that guy against the Jaguars.
That's right. Now I remember that now. So think about it.
Flutie led them to 11-5.
Yeah. Rob Johnson. Bledsoe came after that.
Yeah, Bledsoe came after that. Well, hold on. So there was Rob Johnson, and then there was Kelly Holcomb that started for a year, and he was a backup. He just was a filler.
Yeah.
And there was Kelly Holcomb, and then there was that other dude that was a backup for Jim Kelly, who's now the quarterback coach for the Packers.
Alex Van Pelt.
Yep.
Yep.
He was there, and then Bledsoe.
And then J.P. Lossman. He was the guy from Tulane. Long black. He had like dark black hair.
Oh, no. I remember J.P. I was trying to think. I'm sorry. I was wrong. It was Flutie, Rob Johnson, then Van Pelt, then Bledsoe, then Kelly Holcomb, then J.P. Lossman, then Trent Edwards, who Trent Edwards actually looked good until he got rocked against Arizona. They started 5-0 in like 2007.
Then they drafted
E.J. Manuel.
Oh, God, that disaster.
But there was a few between there. I mean, you had Kyle Orton in there. There was Trent Edwards, Fitzpatrick.
I mean, dude, look at the names that we just literally rambled through. Is there any wonder why they fucking sucked? Horrible.
Well, yeah, they've been shitty. Like I said, it's been I grew up with the Bills on TV every Sunday, bro. Like, my fucking dad loves the Bills. So, like, the Buffalo Bills 1 p.m. on Sunday was a big deal. We had the fucking chips and dip. We had, it was a thing for my family. And we prepared that chips and dip and beef on wick and watched them get their fucking asses kicked every fucking week.
Unless they didn't sell out, and then it was a blackout and you couldn't watch it on television, so you'd have to fucking listen to it on the radio because not enough people bought tickets, and so they wouldn't fucking put it on TV. You remember that?
Yeah, just to piss everybody off. Like, you better come buy a ticket.
Yeah, they would black it out.
Yeah, they did do that a couple times. But, man, I kind of miss having them on cable. It's been nice this season, though, because, my problem with living out of the area has been that I was never able to watch the Bills. And now that they're good again, they're in prime time. I'm able to watch the Bills all the time.
Yeah, I saw them. They're getting, even here in Pittsburgh, it's the same thing. It's like you don't get those games because usually if there's a Steelers game on, then there's no other game on. They dominate the airwaves. They isolated in this network area. So, but it's tough. I don't get to watch as much NFL. I don't watch a whole lot of sports in general anymore. I pick and choose. I definitely watch some, but my days of like sitting down on a Sunday and watching every game, I mean, that was far behind me, unfortunately. But so where at on social?
I just really.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
I started to ask you where at on social, and you were still talking. There's like a little slight delay.
We're at on social for what?
Where can the people who are listening to this podcast, if they don't already follow you on social media, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at JD_Casper. You can find me on Spotify at JD Casper. You can find me on Facebook at JD Casper Music. And you can just go to my website, www.jdcasper.com. I got some merch for sale, hats, t-shirts, stickers. I think there's a blanket on there. There's a bunch of stuff on there. I mean, check it out. There's some cool stuff on there. I have all my shows. If you're ever in Central Texas, I got shows posted on my website. Come find me. My calendar's up there. Bands in town. And I will be posting dates in the Northeast for July and late June. And soon those dates will be posted.
Yeah, let me know what those dates are. We'll talk offline, and I'll make some introductions as well. See if I can get you connected with people. Do you have
Hell yeah.
Do you have an OnlyFans? I want to make sure we.
No, I don't have an OnlyFans, dude, but I've been thinking about it. I mean, I've been looking for ways to supplement income.
Naked birthday songs.
Well, like I mean, what's that one? There's that one app called Cameo.
Yeah.
Where your fans pay you $60 or whatever to give a little birthday shout out to their significant other or something.
Mm-hmm. It's a good business racket. Well, congrats on everything, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thank you for having me, and congrats to you. I mean, I think what you're doing is pretty damn fucking cool too. So keep it up.